everyone. I had a few questions from some folks down in Hopkins County about how to uh, use a pivot table to make a chart like you see on the screen here. And basically this chart is showing the relationship between course grades or teacher assigned grades and some sort of external exam or external measure. So like K-Prep or ACT, whatever your external thing is. Most likely it's going to be like your state exams. And as you can see here, this kind of, each cell tells us how many students met that sort of joint criteria. So for example, 26 students got an A in their course and also scored a 4 or distinguished on the state exam, and so on and so forth. And why this is a useful sort of representation is it kind of allows you to see, are there any trouble spots that maybe we want to use and to have a discussion about our grading practices and policies in your school or district. So for example, if you have a lot of students or a lot of numbers showing up in the corners of death there, that may indicate some problems, right? You've got students who are getting A's, but coming back is with 2s and 1s. Same thing with the B's. Or in the other corner, you've got students that are potentially failing the course, but are coming back as being considered distinguished on some other external exam. So there might be a problem with the external exam. There might be a problem with the teacher assigned grades. There's probably a little bit of both. But this is a good way to sort of anchor discussions in some evidence, and rather than just getting back into the back and forth about what should you do. But anyway, how do we get this thing here? Well, where you start is you start with a spreadsheet. And so here's a spreadsheet, very simple spreadsheet. You've got a bunch of students, how they scored on the external exam or test, and what was the teacher assigned grade. Okay, and then you might also have some other factor. So these could be which teacher they had. It could be departments. It could be socioeconomic status. It could be whatever sort of third variable or other relationships you want to explore, male, female, whatever. So, but anyway, so this is our first part. So we've got this. Then the next step is to find your data tab in your spreadsheet program, and then you will see a sort of pivot table there. And so I like to always select create a manual pivot table. And when I do this, it'll try and guess where the data is, and that's pretty good. It usually gets it right on the mark. And then I'm going to put it into a new worksheet. And then here we have our pivot table. And it's totally blank. So the first thing I'm going to do is blow this up so you guys can actually see it. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. And I have my little pivot table builder here thing. So I'm going to put the course grades as my column labels. And notice it looks through all my data and says, okay, these are the different labels, A, B, C, D, F. And I'm going to put my test grades on the rows. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to drop course grades again back into this values box. And it's going to give me a count, which is what I want in this case. I do want a count. And then I'm going to even these things out a little bit. There we go. Do a little quick formatting here to make it a little bit more readable. I'm going to switch the sort order because I prefer to have the 4 and the A. But you don't have to do it that way. You can do it however you want to do it. Let me shrink it a little bit more. There we go. And there we go. And there we have our pivot table. And so as you can see, with this data set I have here, there are 30 students who got A's and came back with a 4 distinguished, 10 students who got A's, came back with a proficient, 2 that got A's and came back with sort of an apprentice, and 2 that came back with novice. So my question would be why? What happened here? There might be a perfectly good explanation, and the numbers are relatively low. So, but anyway, it's good to know. You can at least kind of explore. A little bit higher over here. Don't quite like to see that ratio, right? There's more students who are below proficient than they're above proficient, but they're getting B's. So that's something we definitely want to talk about. And then look at these students over here. We're saying they're D and F students, right? But they're coming back as distinguished or proficient. Why? What's happening there? Maybe same thing here. Why are these C students coming back distinguished? But this is just a way to start conversation. This shouldn't be taken as any particular gospel. You're going to have to interpret it and make meaning of the data, but this is a good way to represent that data to start doing that. And so we just go from here, and pivot tables allow us to take this and make this. Now, what about that other factor? So I'm going to go ahead and drop that down into my row labels here, add another row label, and I'm going to switch the order. Here, so I'm going to move the test grade below it. So now what this does is it actually creates two pivot tables based on the levels within this particular variable. So this 0 and 1. So here's the pivot table for the zeros. And again, let me fix that back. It always kind of messes that up. Here's for all the zeros, and here's for all the ones. So these might be males and females. And we can look at those relationships. Are they different from males, from females? Are they different between grade levels? Are they different between subject areas? Are they different? So on and so forth. So you can add as many of those additional columns as you want and use those to parse the data in a lot of different ways. But that's pivot tables, and they're awesome. And if you figure out how to use a pivot table, that will put you ahead of about 80% of people when it comes to using Excel. Because this has been around for years, but most people, A, don't know about it, and B, don't actually use it. So use it. You got it. It's right there. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.